Hi. I used to self-harm, and I say used to, it's been at least a couple of months, but I want to be clean for at least 2 years before I can truly say I used to and not I do, but I don't think it's gonna happen again. But a YouTuber who talks a lot about self-harm without being a mental health vlogger or someone who went through it himself. He went through depression, but he never self-harmed. Is Onision. And he said some things that I want to react to. Some things I agree with, some I don't. The first one is that he says that cutting, usually when he talks about self-harm, he talks about cutting. He says cutting or to cut yourself doesn't make sense. And I think to say that invalidates everyone who self-harms, and I don't think that's the way to go, like to help people. In a way he's right, and he actually made a comedy sketch where one of his characters, Emo Charlie, had to take out the trash and he didn't want to. And he was like, well, if I cut myself, maybe the trash will disappear. And he cut himself, and the trash obviously was still there. It will only make it worse. And, self harm is not the way to go. I agree with him. So, help in some way, people wouldn't do it. Just like other addictions, taking drugs is not the way to solve your problems, and it makes it much, much worse. But taking drugs also gives you something. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. It gives you some enjoyment or relief in the moment that you take it. Like cutting or self-harm is the responsibility of the person who self-harms. And yes, he's right, it is. He reacts to pictures that, show cutter scars or wounds that say, is your joke still funny now? Or this one's for you. And it's no one else's fault. People may hurt you, but what you do in reaction to that, is your own responsibility. You cut yourself if they didn't. But there was one picture where a girl had cut herself on her arm that said, I'm sorry. And Onision reacted by saying, well, you're not, because if you were, you wouldn't do it. And I was sorry all the time, but I still did it. Like, I saw how it hurt people, and I recognized that, and I felt bad about that. But I didn't stop because it was an addiction. You can't just stop. Which is another thing I kind of had a problem with. He looks at people cut themselves and say, go to therapy, institutionalize yourself, which is the way to go. And therapy really helped me, but it also took years. And in the way he says, like, oh, just go to therapy, makes it sound that the first time you see a therapist will be the last time you ever harm yourself. And, that's not true. Like, sometimes I still harm myself, but I was working on it, and I felt good about working on it. But I'd watch one of his videos, and I was like, oh, it's not good enough because I'm not clean yet. But I don't think that's how he meant it. Like, if you're not overly sensitive like me, you probably appreciate his videos way more than I have. And there are people who have told him that he helped them stop cutting altogether. There are a lot of people who told him that they stopped cutting. Definitely check out his videos. That is because I have everything written down here, because that's what I do with my life. I do want to compliment him. he gives or he provides links in his videos and in the description of his videos to free confidential help. I really like that. And he gives people reasons why you shouldn't cut yourself, which has actually helped me. And, you know, as I said, I agree with a lot of what he says. Like he said, well, if you take pictures of it and post it to Tumblr instead of getting help, it degrades the problem. Like you make cutters look bad because you make it seem like it's all for attention if you take a picture of it and post it to the internet. Which I agree with. People who do that. You know, if you cut on your arms, it's for attention. The upper inner thigh, and was an example he chose, isn't the attention spot. Which, you know, why people do it on their arms is not just for attention. Yes, it's hard to hide it, but it's also hard to accidentally die from cutting yourself in your arm. Like if you don't want to die and you slice your arm, you're probably not gonna die. If you slice your thigh, which Onision named, if you slice too deep, you can actually die without, you know, trying to die. Like you're trying to just cut yourself, but it's too deep and you accidentally die. That happens when you cut on your thighs. It doesn't happen when you cut on your like lower arm. Also, it's way more convenient to just roll up your sleeve and go when you really need to than to take off your pants or something. So it's not just about attention when you do it on your arm. But yeah, as I said, he has helped a lot of people. I will link his channels down below. And if you think you might benefit from his tough love, check him out. He's amazing. And some of his sketches about self-harm are actually really funny, I think. Like, you have to like that humor, but I kind of like it sometimes when people make. And I think people could really need that. So check out his comedy sketches about cutting as well if you think you might like that. So, bye.